The government wants to do something in the digital industry. They want to create a parallel digital economy. They want to include more and more people in it. But at the same time, we have a lot of bottlenecks, we have a lot of contingencies. Do you think that government's intentions will actually translate into something productive in near future?
Yes, as in I'm hopeful. I think intentions is a good starting point. And growing up in Pakistan, I saw that various initiatives which were taken in the past did lead to some positive results. For example, when I was young, at that time, they were teaching Microsoft certification, Sun certification, and thousands of Pakistanis learned Microsoft and Sun back then. And then that created an interest in computer science for a lot of young people. So I'm sure now I see similar initiatives in AI, blockchain. So I'm sure that there will always be positive impact for any positive initiative.
Well, that's, I appreciate your generosity and your optimism on that. But at the same time, we see there is a lot of, bottlenecks where the mainstream industrialists are trying to evade taxes by opening a software house, and they're showing their incomes coming in the software industry so that it gets evaded with the tax, and government can show that the software is growing. But actually on the practical side, nothing is happening. We don't have a reliable internet service. Our conversion rate for the internet is barely at 5%. The people who have the mobile data aren't literate enough to turn that into something which makes money. What do you think government has to do right now? And the policy which they are doing is to departmentalize every segment of the IT industry. Do you think it's going to work that way?
So first, I think there were a lot of points which you mentioned in your question. So let's break it down. Firstly, I think Pakistan does have a very vibrant and growing tech industry. It's small, but it's growing, and it's growing quite fast, like close to 20% growth rates. Our overall IT exports are more than $3 billion now. There are more than 400,000 freelance developers. It's said that they are the third or fourth largest group of freelancers globally. So we are producing a lot of IT graduates. Platforms like WhatsApp, TikTok have north of 40 million users in Pakistan. Even crypto platforms have more than 40 million users in Pakistan. So the digital adoption is high. Technology talent is there. That technology talent is producing income, and that income is growing. So, and companies, even the large IT companies like Systems, which is listed on Pakistan Stock Exchange, have done really, really well. Their share price has done really well. So on one hand, we have to be conscious and cognizant that it's not all grim and doom. Actually, there are some very, very interesting and inspiring success stories which are out there. Now, coming to the other point in terms of what should government do. So, and your point is totally valid, that a good starting point is high-speed internet and provision of high-speed internet. Generally, like when people used to ask me this question 7 or 8 years ago, that what should government do, I used to say that government should just stay out of it. Like that's the best thing the government can do, is not to intervene and make things bad. Having said that, the second best thing for the government to do is provide good infrastructure, and the starting point for that is high-speed internet.
High-speed internet is, it's available in Pakistan in many cities, although the quality of it can be questioned. But I have a stats in front of me. It says that only 1.14% of the Pakistan's 124 million mobile broadband subscribers are active. Now, that doesn't sound very promising, because internet stays up. We are in 2025, but it's still a question. Its reliability, its effectiveness, and there is a lot of control. There is a lot of government policy intrusion into it. Do you think that these things can actually create any impact in the digital industry, in the digital finance industry, as we're talking about?
So I'll repeat the same point that good quality, stable, consistent internet is the core for building any digital economy. Even in the UK, I live in London. That's one of the what was one of the election manifesto and a key government policy to provide access to fiber to every citizen over here. So I was just in Japan and China, and of course I think no other country is as advanced in internet adoption or digital adoption as those two countries, and the quality of internet was far superior than what we have in Pakistan. As in each time I'm in Pakistan, I struggle to have high quality, consistent Zoom calls. And so certainly that improving that point alone can have a major impact on digital adoption.
At one time you say that government should stay out of it, but at the same time we have a lot of policy coming in. So there is a lot of government intrusion in the policy making, and there's a lot of control over the narrative as well. And in that attempt to control the narrative, they are hurting a lot of businesses. We see that the startups in Pakistan in recent year, in the past 10 or 12 years, we have seen that they are initiated, they get the seed money, they reach their bloom for like 12 or 14 months, and then suddenly they start getting cutting to the size until they just die out. How do you think that if the government stays out of it, will that impact this startup scenario or the startup culture in Pakistan?
I think I was a bit harsh on that statement that governments should stay out of it. I think I meant it more in terms of a siding comment. But what I mean by that is that government generally create a lot of noise and a lot of they waste a lot of time just because of bureaucracy. And what I meant was that digital adoption is something which can grow organically. In fact, it has grown organically in Pakistan. And then just take the example of crypto. There are millions, tens of millions of people in Pakistan who trade crypto, while the government is not involved in it. Similarly, platforms like WhatsApp and TikTok have massive adoption. Like we're talking about 30 to 40 to 50 million subscribers for these platforms without the intervention of government. So that's what I meant by government. Certainly, government has a role, and we've spoken about one role extensively, which is provision of internet. The second role, which we also mentioned, I also mentioned initially, is education, providing good education to people so that they can be trained on modern technologies such as AI. And I was just in Pakistan last week, and I heard about some amazing initiative which the government has taken in terms of training people around these around AI. So the government does have a role. The last point you mentioned, which was about startups. Now that is something which is totally, I think that's not like failure of startups has nothing to do with government failure or policy failure. There are many multiple studies, including one very famous study by Harvard Business School, and that study shows that even in the US, 95% of startups fail. So failure of startups should not be equated to any kind of policy failure. It's just a normal, this is how startups work. So it's more of understanding of how startups work. Startups are about taking risks. It's not about doing experiments.
Ali, in Pakistan, these startups, like the rest of the world, they rely on the quality internet. And when you do not provide them with the quality internet, with a sustained connection, just like you said that in Pakistan you struggle to have a Zoom call, a sustained Zoom call. How do you expect startups to grow? Because in order to just show sales to their investors, they offer their customers unimaginable discounts, and they actually do turn into something which is not tangible organically. But without reliable internet, how does it translate into business? It just cannot. So my point is that just because of that, the startups cannot flourish in Pakistan.
So as I told you that even in the US, 95% of startups fail. That's not because they don't have internet. So clearly, and secondly, Pakistani quality of internet is bad and can be improved, and I highlight that. But it's not that bad. Like clearly, we are having a Zoom call right now, and I'm in London and you are in Pakistan. So certainly it does work. It can be improved, and if it improves, I think it will have a good and positive impact on the economy. But that doesn't mean that we are not working because internet quality is bad.